Well, I would like to express my gratitude to Pro for your supervision. Um, because without Pro, actually, I cannot stand here. She opened a new world for me and always encouraged me to embrace new challenges. Um, and also the 4 year of actually, I spent 5 years at EPFL, which is most precious time for me. Okay, so thank you, Pro. So here, I would like to first, it's a sharing and also it's like a report of my research journey after I left EPFL. I got my PhD in 2008, and then I joined Hong Kong Baptist University. And then I first have a daughter, now is 11 years old, and then a boy called Will, who is now 9 years old. And after I joined the Hong Kong Baptist University, I continue my PhD research direction in human-centric recommender systems, and we mainly focus on beyond accuracy objectives such as fairness, controllability, explainability, diversity, serendipity, to develop the recommender systems. And 2 years ago, I collaborated with some professors and scholars from other disciplines, like psychology, social science, and communication, to establish a new lab called the Positive Intelligence Lab. And for this lab, our mission is to conduct interdisciplinary research on developing personalized AI applications to promote human well-being, such as psychological well-being. And along this direction, we have conducted several projects. So today, I'm very happy to share one of the topics we have done. So that is about conversational music agent for psychological well-being. I would like to first give a background about this research. So because actually we started with music recommender systems for supporting users exploration. And then the early research motivated us to extend this topic to the mental health domain. And then we further developed the music conversational agent for self-awareness, and then furthermore for supporting older adults' reminiscence activities. So that's why I would like to give a very short introduction to recommender system, because that's actually all of my research have been centered around this topic. So we know that recommender system is a very popular type of AI application because it aims to predict individual users' personal interest, preferences, and then to identify some information, some items that can match to the user's personal preferences and recommend to the users. And so in the past, I think 20 years, it has been popularly used in many different domains, like a Spotify music recommender system, Netflix, Movie Lens, and YouTube video recommendation, and also has been used for e-commerce products recommendation and service products like hotel, restaurant, and also for some high-stake product domain like job and investment product recommendations. So when we started this research, when I worked with Pro, actually we want to build the decision support system using some recommendation technology. So we want to help the user make more effective and accurate decisions so that they can handle the online information overload. And we also want to develop some personal assistant that may even proactively provide some suggestions, some advice to the users. So that is our original, its objective. But when recommender system has been used by industry, because for the companies, so they may emphasize or focus on like a conversion rate, like a click-through rate. So actually, now there's some maybe negative consequence or negative effects on the users. So because the user were attracted to accept or select some recommended products, but then the user found actually I don't like. Maybe the recommender system provides some unfair recommendation, like for female and male users, they give a different recommendations just because of the gender. And also now there's very which is a typical phenomenon on the streaming platform, like short video addiction. So in China, we have noticed that many people, including some kids, like just 5 or 7, 6 years old kids, they are also addicted to watching the short videos for a long time. And also filter bubble issue. So the user are trapped into a space they are very familiar with because the recommended items are similar to what they liked before. So they lose the opportunity to explore something new or unexpected. So this will see some maybe negative effects on the users, and then eventually the user may have low trust in the recommender systems. So then we use the music as example, so in this work, we try to address the filter bubble issue. So we want to build a music recommender system that can stimulate users to explore something new. Okay, instead of, for example, the user recently listened to some jazz or pop music, instead of recommending the similar type of sounds to the user, we also hope that the user can explore other or different types of music, because field bubble is it can isolate user from diversity of content and information. So that's why we have started this work in 2019 and to stimulate music exploration. So this idea was actually based on my PhD work with Prof and the Prof supervision. So because our focus at that time was on critiquing-based recommender system. So we want to develop a critiquing-based user interaction so that can help the user refine their preferences when they see the recommendations. And so it can also enable the system to better understand what the user need, and then it can improve their recommendations in the next cycle. So this can continue until the user finally accepts some recommendation. So our early work on this critiquing-based recommender system was mainly in the high-risk product domain, for example, for digital camera recommendation or laptop recommendations. But when we try to integrate this critiquing-based user interaction for music recommender system, we found that it can be useful to enable users to find something different or to find diverse sounds, and also can increase the user's engagement. So here you can see the user interface we designed. So this is the music conversational recommender system in natural language dialogue. So it first, according to the user's initial preferences, it will recommend some songs to the users. But if the user doesn't like this recommended song, the user may say, oh, please give me a faster song. So we call this as user-initiated critiquing. Okay, so this actually was proposed in our previous work with Pro on critiquing-based system, but we just try to integrate this critiquing strategy into this music conversational system. So that is user-initiated critiquing, but the user can also click let bot suggest if the user want to get some suggestions from the system. So then in this case, for example, the system may say, oh, based on your music preference, I think you might like the pop English songs with a lower decibelity. So through this critiquing, especially the system suggested critics, so it may maybe motivate users or stimulate users to try different types of sounds, okay, instead of some they're already very familiar with. So in this first work, we did use a study, and we found that it did have this potential to support the exploration. And another interesting finding is that the user's personal characteristics, such as a desire for control and music sophistication, can affect users' behavior and perception when they use this system, especially their exploration intention. So that's why we further investigated this topic in depth, and we proposed different interaction designs for this system. So in order to support the exploration, so here we have a progressive system. So that is for the system suggested critic. So the system first presents some initial recommended sound. And if the user click let bot suggest, so then it will try to diversify the next recommended sounds in terms of both audio features and genres. So here, actually, it doesn't make a distinction between the audio features and the genres, just mix them together for the recommendation. So then the user can accept or reject. If the user rejects, we will give another suggestion to the user. So we call this as a progressive system. And in another design, so this is called cascading system. So here we have two levels. So that is the first level, we just diversify in terms of audio features. And then if we find that the user is not interested in listening to the music in the same genres, although they may diverse in terms of the audio features, so then we will switch or go to the second level. So that is to change the genres of the music for the recommendation. So that's why this is called cascading system suggestions. So that is there's two different designs, and we compared with this baseline. So in this baseline, we only have user-initiated critiquing support, but doesn't have the system-suggested critiques to the users. And so then we further performed a user study involving more than 440 participants. Through this user study, we found that for the user-initiated critiquing and the system-suggested critics, they have different roles to support the exploration. So the user-initiated critiquing can be more useful when the user have a clear goal. So that is, they know what the other types of music they want to explore, so they actually can express their own critics or their own preferences. For the system-suggested critiquing, it's mainly to support users when they have no clear goal, they don't know what they want to explore. And then in terms of the differences between the two interaction designs for system-suggested critiquing, progressive and cascading, we found that the progressive system-suggested critiquing is more useful for the initial period of exploration. So that is for the short-term exploration, because they still try to recommend some sounds that are closer to the user's current preferences. While for the cascading system, this design, it is more useful to support longer-term exploration. So that is when the user maybe already feel bored about the current recommended sounds. So then it can motivate users to try some different and diverse types of sounds. So it's mainly for later period of music exploration. And then we first did a user study in 2022. So this is mainly because in the previous work, we found that the user's personal characteristics can affect their trust in such kind of system. So that's why we did a more formal user study in order to know how the user's personal characteristics interact with other design factors to influence users' trust. And also according to Rescue, that is a user-centric evaluation framework developed actually Pro-led to they initiate this idea, and we developed this evaluation framework. So here you can see that the user perceived the quality of the recommender system, like a recommendation, novelty, diversity, can influence their beliefs, such as perceived usefulness, which can further influence the user's trust. And then the trust, like for the e-commerce recommendation, it can influence users' behavior intention, like purchase intention. So then for this work, in order to know how the user's personal characteristics affect the user's trust in the music conversational recommender system, we first try to identify what are the design factors together with the user's personal characteristics. This actually is based on the three-layered trust model. According to this three-layered model, so here you see, actually there are different kinds of trust. So the first kind of trust is dispositional trust. So that can be influenced by the user personal factors, such as personality traits, and also the trust propensity and the domain knowledge. And then the second layer, learned trust. So this trust is learned or built when the user interact with some particular system, like our system. So this is mainly affected by system-related design factors. So in our study, we mainly focus on the critical initiative strategy as a system design related factors. And then the third type of trust is a situational trust. So this is mainly affected, influenced by the context-related factors, such as the environment in which the user uses this system or the user's task goal. So that is what objectives the user want to achieve when the user uses this system. So that's why in our study, we try to identify or to analyze how these different types of factors interact with each other to affect the user's trust in our system. So that's why we actually for the context-related factors, we designed two different user tasks for the user. One is a simple task. So we just ask the user to select 5 sounds they most preferred. And another task is more complex. So there are 2 steps. The first step is to try to discover different types of music, and then to create a playlist that contains 20 songs. And then within this playlist, to select the top 5 most preferred songs. So we call this we say this is a more complex task. Okay, so that's actually regarding the context-related factors. And then for the system-related factors, we have this user initiative system only support user-initiated critiquing. The other is this hybrid system that also includes the system-suggested critiques. So in this work, through this structured equation modeling analysis, so we found that indeed there are some personal characteristics, especially these 2 personality traits, extroversion and conscientiousness, can affect users' perception of the system competence, such as perceived recommendation quality and perceived conversational interaction. And the other 2 personal factors, trust propensity and domain knowledge, which is music sophistication, can also affect users' intention to use this system. And also these 2 competence perception can further influence the user's perceived trust. And another interesting finding is that there's some interaction effects among these different design factors. So one finding is that users with higher conscientiousness, so that means the people who are more self-disciplined, who are more organized and hardworking, so they have a better perception of the mixed initiative system, so that it support both user-initiated critiquing and system-suggested critiques, and also show more trust toward this system. So these are some observation and findings from this research. So then, based on this previous early work, so we try to further, we actually have the idea of whether we can extend this work into the mental health domain. So this idea actually was studied during the COVID-19 that period, because we found that many people in that period, they have some with psychological distress because they had to stay at home and totally isolated from the social interaction with other peoples. And some people, they may feel lonely, and some even have the depression. So that's why we want to see whether music can be a channel or can be a platform for them to try to reduce or alleviate this distress. So for this purpose, we first actually did a study on a special community that is a social community, but that actually is related to the music. It's a social music community. So we actually studied this platform that is called NetEase Cloud Music. That is one of the most popular Chinese online music platforms. So every month there are 200 million active users. So at this platform, we found that many users, when they wrote the music comments, actually they didn't comment on the singer or comment on the song itself. Actually, they try to disclose their emotional experiences or personal feelings in their comments. So this was also actually reviewed in some other related work. And also in other work, they said that the young people, especially young people, they try to, because they think this platform is free, and so they think it's safe for them to disclose their feelings and emotions, and also to have some connection with other listeners through this platform, so as to satisfy their social needs. So that's why we did it's kind of like a data analysis on the comments that we extracted from this social music community. We want to know, so what people they have enjoyed in listening when they in some certain kind of psychological distress. So that's why we first selected top 5 songs. And because on this platform, sorry that it's in Chinese. So on this platform, so it actually associates some emotional types with the songs, like sadness, like healing or relaxed or loneliness, and happiness. So there's some emotional tags with the songs. So then based on, according to this emotional tags, we first selected 5 most popular songs. They are associated with some psychological distress. Actually, we use some keywords when we searched for the comments from the reviews on this popular songs. So we got more than 2,000 comments on these songs, only 5 songs, but there are more than 2 million comments. And then using the keywords depression, anxiety, stress, and loneliness, we narrow down the set of comments we want to analyze. And we also this work, we collaborated with some professor in the psychology school. So they manually checked all of the comments, and so make sure they are really about some this kind of a mental health issue. So that's why finally we got 163 music comments, okay, from the listeners on these songs. And then because we actually also want to analyze the replies to the comments. So in order to know what kind of social support that can be provided on this platform, so we further got more than 2,700 associated replies to these comments. So then we did some manual coding, so that is content analysis, in order to know within these comments, so what kind of emotions or feelings the user tried to express in the comments. So then we actually concluded with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 comment types. So some users express their general feelings, okay, in the music comments. Some users, they actually try to seek for help. Maybe they're in very serious depression status, so that they try to seek for help from the other users in this social music community. And some users, they tell some short story, and some users, they actually try to self-disclose their personal experiences and also the associated emotions. Some made wish, and some tell the story behind the music, like the story about the songwriting, or discuss the lyrics. So then here, through this distribution analysis, because we have these 4 types of psychological distress associated with these comments. So then here, this distribution shows that across all of these 4 psychological distress, depression, anxiety, stress, and loneliness, the experience sharing actually is dominant among the music comments about this distress. So that means most of actually more than at least 72% of the comments actually about their personal experience sharing in their comments. So that's one of the major finding about the comments themselves. So then we further analyzed the replies to these comments. So this is mainly to know the types of social support to the listeners who are in these different kinds of distress. So then we found we also, through the content analysis, we found, so first of all, there are two major types of support. One is emotional support, the other is informational support. So informational support is mainly to provide some suggestion to the user. And emotional support here, we further classified them into some subtypes, like encouragement, encourage this user to, this person to be more confident and also to have some hope in their or meaningfulness in their life. And some is confirm the point of view, that is reassurance, and some caring, so that is to express their concerns. And some is acknowledge the some even to self-disclose. So that is some listener, when they see one user express their depression, this problem or this experience, so then they also self-disclose their own issue to this listener. And some is companion, some empathy and humor. And we also actually counted the number of likes on these replies. And so we found that the humor, this type of reply, actually is has the highest number of likes. So that is more than 12%. So that means when the other listeners, when they see these replies, so they like the humor, this type of reply actually get most likes. So that is for the social supports. And then we also did this distribution analysis among these different types of distress. And so here we find that for the anxiety and for the distress, for the stress, the encouragement, this social support, this kind of reply is dominant, occupies the largest proportion of the replies. But for the depression, so here you can see that, so that is the suggestion. So this bar, so actually is dominant. So that is when other listeners see someone has a depression, this issue, so they want to provide some suggestion to this listener. And then for the loneliness, so the largest proportion of reply actually is self-disclosure, this green bar. So that is when someone see other is in the loneliness, this status, so they also want to self-disclose their own loneliness issue. So that is the distribution of the social supports on this platform. And so this work further motivated because in our early work, we developed that music conversational recommender system. So then motivated or driven by this social music community investigation. So we further want to know whether we can also build a conversational music system so that it can help address some this psychological distress. And we found that because many people, they actually try to disclose their own feelings, their own thoughts, and also their personal experiences and stories. So that's why here we focus on self-awareness. So we put it as one of our objectives. So self-awareness, which is actually is kind of inner state. So that means we focus on ourselves. So that means we become the focus of our attention. So then we can try to realize our own feelings and thoughts instead of being distracted by some external things or persons. So that is the self-awareness. And this self-awareness actually can be associated with good mental well-being. So that's why we want to design a conversational agent so that may foster users' self-awareness. So that is when the user listen to the music, and then this agent may guide users to listen to themselves. So that is to focus on themselves, to know what they feel now, and then try to express themselves, to express their personal thoughts and feelings and what they think of when they listen to this music. So that's why we developed this system. We call it as a listen to music, listen to yourself. So for this study, we have two design factors. So one design factor actually is from our previous work on that social music community platform. So we want to know whether within this conversational with the interface, so if we include some comments, music comments written by other listeners, so who are also in the similar like mood or emotional state. So whether this music comments, we call this is social information, whether this social information can foster or enhance the user's self-awareness when listening to the music. So that's why this is one of our design factors. And the other actually is in terms of this conversational systems proactivity. So here, because we want to guide users, nudge users to resonate with the music and also have some resonance with the comments written by other users. So we want to know if the agent, this system, is more proactive. So that is, it proactively nudge users to sense their resonance. It asks some questions and encourage the user to express themselves. So we see this as a high proactivity of this agent. Oh, maybe the agent is kind of reactive. So it just guide users to express themselves, but do not give with this high, like with this nudge to the users to make resonance with the music. So that is the other design factor that is proactive guidance from this system. So this is the interface of our this system. So here on your left side, so on this panel, so this is currently played songs recommended by the system, and we also show the lyrics of the song to the user. And then on the right side, so here is the conversational interface, the dialog window. So we first actually ask user to choose a music tag. So this is emotional tag. The user want to associate with some music they want to listen to. For example, one user selected healing. So then we will try to recommend some song with this emotional tag. And so then when the user listen to this song, so here actually is a music comments written by other users. So that's actually we extracted from that NetEase, that social music community platform. And so we actually also filtered out some comments which are not relevant to this user's current emotional state, and just to find out someone which are more relevant and include on this interface. So that means when user listen to this music, they can also see the comments from other listeners. So we want to know whether this can further motivate users to be more self-aware of their emotions and also to express themselves. So for this work, we also did a user study. And so here we have three actually research questions, because here is actually is to see whether this system can improve the users or promote the mental well-being. So then based on this well-being supportive design that shows the technology design actually can influence human well-being across different levels of experiences. So that's why we focus on task level, technology level, and the life level. So task level is to know whether our system, this conversational agent, can really improve the user's self-awareness. And the technology level is it can further satisfy users' psychological needs. And because the user need satisfaction can further influence their acceptance of this kind of technology. So that is at the technology level. And then life level actually is to know whether it can really benefit the user's mental well-being. So these are our research questions. In order to answer these research questions, we did a longitudinal user study. So we involved more than 100 users. And for every user, we ask the user use our this system for 5 days. So every day, so we recommended 5 songs. And so for every song, we encourage the user to go through these 3 stages. So that is first to listen to the song, then try to listen to yourself, and then try to express yourself. So before every day, the daily task, So we ask user first indicate their current emotion, and then after they used our system, okay, after they listen to these sounds, and so then they they also ask to indicate the emotion. So because we want to know whether before and after using our system, the user's emotion can be improved or not. So these are some results from this user study. So here you can see that the social information, so that is inclusion of the music comments from the other listeners in this conversational system, can indeed positively influence the user's expression depth. So in expression depth actually is the degree of the self-disclosure. So that is how deep the user can disclose their own feelings or even their own personal or even private stories. So that is expression depth. And then the system's proactive guidance. So that is whether the system is very proactive to guide user to express themselves or reactive. So we find that high proactivity level can increase the user's emotional resonance, self-reported by the user, so which can further increase the user's expression length and then the depth. But another interesting finding is that, so there's a negative actually influence on the user's perceived usefulness. So here you can see this is minors. So that means if the system is too proactive, so the user actually perceive it is not so useful because users still want to have kind of control and autonomy. Because here you can also see there's a negative effect on users' perceived autonomy. So this perceived usefulness can also further influence the user's intention to use. So this means that we need to be more careful when we design such kind of system to balance the system's proactivity level, and also the self-awareness, this objective we want to achieve. So these are some results. And another finding is that, so every day, okay, we counted the positive emotions self-reported by the users. We did find that after the user used our system, so the percentage of the positive emotions, it was increased. So it somehow shows that it can maybe just temporarily or in a short term, it can help improve the user's emotions. But we didn't find that it can help benefit the user mental well-being. So that's some other finding from this work. So then, first of all, the last work we have done along this direction is that we want to know whether this music conversational system can even serve some particular group of users, like for older adults, because it can trigger users to have some memory experiences, disclose some maybe past experiences and even some past life stories. So that's why we want to know whether it can also help serve and benefit the older adults to support their reminiscence activities. So reminiscence is a kind of act of recalling and reflecting upon our past life experiences and memories. And in many studies in the psychology, this domain, it has been found that the reminiscence can have many benefits to the older adults. For example, when they try to recall about their worthwhile experiences from the past, so this can increase their sense of purpose, fulfillment, and so can further enhance their meaning in life. And also, if they can reflect on how they handled the past difficulties, so this can also increase their self-confidence. So here is an example that is called the music memory box. So here actually it's plays some music, some song this older adult listened to when he was young, and then try to trigger his memory on some objects which are in this box. So that's why we want to know whether our system can also support this reminiscence activity. So that's because the music actually can be a very useful memory trigger to promote users to recall their past memories. And also, according to some study, it can enhance the user's sense of meaning in life and also continuity, so that actually they can have some connection between their past and then the present. So that's motivated us to extend our previous work into this for this objective. But in our previous user studies, we never communicated with older adults. So that's why for this work, we want to be more careful. So we want to first know what their special needs, or whether they have any requirements, and also their perspectives on generative AI for the music reminiscence. So that's why for this objective, we first did an exploratory user study. So that is through the structured, semi-structured interview and the design workshops. We want to know what are their perspectives, and also whether they have any considerations or concerns when they use this kind of system. So here, this is our design concept. So our idea is that we may first recommend some song. This is a nostalgia song. The user may be very familiar with when they were young, and so we want to use this nostalgia song to trigger the user's past memory, the recall. So then the user may tell some stories. So this is a real story because I actually attended that design workshop. So when one older adult that is man, so he recalled the memory spent with his first girlfriend. It's a Korean girl, and so that's actually during the Christmas Eve. And he also recalled many happy moments with the first girlfriend. And so then we hope that after this user expressed this past memories, so then maybe we can use some generative AI technique to summarize their stories, and then it can further some memory record for the user. And also based on the user's self-disclosed stories, so we also want to maybe generate some image like this image according to this participant's description. So then we want to use this image as a second trigger. So we see the music is first trigger, and then we want to use this image as a second trigger to trigger the user's some other deep memories. So this is some ideas in our this system for this system. So then in order to first know what is this group of users, what they want, and to understand them, so we actually did several interviews. So the first interview, actually, we communicated with 2 social workers because they often organized some activities in the local community center for the older adults. So they may know what they want. So we first discussed with them about our design concepts of using the music system as to support the reminiscence. And then we made a video prototype. And then we conducted the first design workshop with 7 older adults. And so we asked them to watch our video prototype in order for them to know what is our design idea. And then through the group interview, we want to know their perspectives on the use of generative AI for the reminiscence. And then based on their comments, their feedback, we made a interactive prototype, digital prototype, and then we conducted the second design workshop. So here we involved 9 participants, and we asked them to use our prototype to interact with it. And then through the interview, so we want to know whether they have some maybe more deep thoughts and also opinions on our system. So this is how we did this workshop. So actually, we first made some paper prototype design with them, and then we showed this. So this actually is for the second workshop. workshop, we showed our interface. So we collaborated with the local community center in Hong Kong, and we recruited the participants with age over above 55 years old. So that is the first workshop. So here you can see this is actually our video prototype, because our original idea was to create AIDG. So this AIDG can behave as a facilitator to facilitate a group of older adults, because they joined together, okay, attended this session together. So we want to use this AIDG to be a facilitator to facilitate this group reminiscence activities. So here it first plays some song. Okay, so this is a very popular Cantonese song. Okay, many older adults know this song. So then it will ask some participants to share some, like when you listen to this song, what you thought of. So some participants said, "Oh, I thought of it is the Hong Kong busy street," and then we generated this image to the participant, and then it will ask other participants whether you have the same memory or whether you have some other memories you want to share. So this is our original idea. We want to use this system in a group setting, so that is several older adults participated together. But then through the interview, we found that they don't like this idea. They hope that they can have individual conversation with AI instead of in this group setting, because they said they may have some privacy concern, because reminiscence is very personal and kind of confidential and private. So they don't want to disclose and share their past memories with others, especially strangers. And they also think if others talk about their memories, so this can interrupt their own sharing and their own past memory recall this process. So that's why they prefer the individual conversation with AI instead of the group conversation. And also they said that the conversation with this system should really reflect their memories. And also they even mentioned the tone of the AI voice. So they said it should be more human-like and can influence, can be more relevant to their emotion. So that's some findings from this workshop. So that's why in our second workshop, we made this prototype. This is for individual conversation, and it's very simple design, interface design. So on the right side, this is a dialogue interface. So here the system may ask some question. First play some sound and then ask some questions. And then based on what this user talked about, so that it will generate some images. And so it also further generates some story to summarize this user's memories. And so here the user can even save this document, select some image they like, and save this document for some personal record. So this is the second prototype we designed. And that's through still through the semi-structured interview. So we got some further comments from our users. So they mentioned that actually they hope that they can have control over the conversation. So this is a very interesting finding, because before we thought that the older adults, maybe they just want to be guided by this AI system. But here we find that actually they hope they can control when the system like ask a question or what are the topics they want to discuss. And so they also want to control the time of the image generation. So because in our system, it will automatically generate some image to the user, but they hope that they can if they don't want to have the image, so they can tell the system instead of just getting the image without any expectation. So that is AI initiative and user control. So that is a balance. We need to try to balance. And also they said that this reminiscence activity, they hope that at the beginning, maybe just start with some simple questions, and then it can be more with this in an incremental manner. So that means through more questions, so then they can further go into the details and then go to be engaged with this process. And then for the AI output, so because they noticed that when they said a lot about their memories, so then the AI just responded like, I understand. It's very short for them. So they hope that the AI output can be more commensurate with their input. So that means if they said a lot about their personal experiences, so the AI can also respond in the similar like amount of with the length in their report. And they also hope that the conversation can be more personalized, and the image, the generated image, can be more authentic and also can be really relevant to their own memories. Because when we did this user study, the AI that at that time it was still not very, we see the image generation was still not very, maybe very accurate, because it generated some image with some Western the person in the image. But for the Hong Kong people, they hope that the image, the character in that image can be look like Asian people. So that is some comments on this prototype. So then through these workshops, so we have some design implications, like we need to be more careful to balance the AI initiative and the older adults' autonomy, perceived or desired autonomy when we design this system. And also the conversation for the reminiscence, to support reminiscence, this activity should be more personal and adaptive, and can be more, we say, can be more relevant to the users, the memories and the emotions. And also we need to have a balance between the authenticity and the AI creativity. So these are some design implications. Actually, based on this work, currently we also did another user study, so that it aims to know how the autonomy support of the system can affect users' trust in this kind of music-based reminiscence system. So for our future work directions, we have also developed a multimodal conversational recommender system based on multimodal large language models. Although that's actually not related to this mental well-being, this topic, but we actually want to further extend it and try to integrate like music therapy and more broadly the art therapy with large language models to build our systems. And so then we can also leverage and strengthen the multimodal, we say our system to leverage the multimodal large language model, because we like for the image and also for the audio and the video. So we also want to integrate them together to support and enrich the reminiscence, this activity. And we also know that the user's personal characteristics are very important because it can influence the user's trust and engagement. So we should also be careful when we design this kind of system to take into account their like cultural background, their mental state, and also their domain knowledge when we design this system. So that's all of my sharing, and thank you very much for your listening. Thanks.